one very important experiment area for insurance is the digital channel. So you just go and you experiment. And because there's so much money that's poured into digitalization and AI, is that this is where the fun is part. And you don't only work for your own digital channel, but it's also data and value that is brought to the whole company. Because if it's not working digitally or the feedback is in a certain way, then you can have already a piece of information on how the product will be working for the independent distribution, like the cinema chains, or the Netflix channels, like the agencies. And that I find very interesting, and it's usually built in the organization.
Yeah. I mean, it's all driven by a consumer's need, right? And people are parting with their money for that consumer need. Yeah. I think there's a lot of parallels, right? So if we look at the giants, you've got Netflix, you've got Amazon, and then you've got the movie studios, and of course you've got the streaming services like Disney Plus and HBO, etc. But when you're a leader, right, you're always there always comes a tipping point in time that you're the leader, so you're not going to get everything right.
Yeah.
And you're going to leave and the cracks will appear because somebody's going to feel underserved. And you see it already in the entertainment game that you've got some growth businesses that are growing at incredibly quick paces. Companies like Mubi, which is much more art house, but they also hold films that you've really, from the 80s, and the catalogue is really, really well curated content. And it starts to identify with you as, this is really a place I want to hang out, because it just feels very tailored. And at the same time, you've got platforms like Crunchyroll, which is Japanese anime, that actually have a brilliant business model in how they take the entertainment vertical and move it not just about, be a subscriber, but actually you can see our content and watch these ads, and you can also buy the merchandise through their interface. And for an audience like the anime audience, it is the most powerful thing that finally our community has come together. We've created something in this environment that we can all celebrate. And okay, it won't be perfect, but it's pretty damn good. So these really unique players are starting to become far more engaging, far more powerful. And that's pretty exciting. And I think there's a premium attached to that. If you're serving an underserved need and it finally resonates, then I think there's always going to be an opportunity that people will go, it's a shakeout period. The movie industry's had it. When you look at the streamers, they're not all going to be there because
isn't that Lady Gaga's model? She has created her own, multi-million subscriber community that is just for her, and then everything's happening there, and exchange as well. So the community element, I find that super, super interesting and important.
Oh, massively so. I mean, anything around the arts needs to have fans. And it's quite funny because when you look at communities and you look at fans, everybody thinks that every fan is exactly the same. So I've been a fan since 2003. And it's really, when you understand what fanship really is, it's really exciting because actually you monetize the new fans more than you monetize the old fans. The old fans have had a relationship for 10 years with your content or whatever that might be, or that world or that experience. The new fans that are relatively new to it, it's like when you meet or you go to a new restaurant and you become a fan of that restaurant, and it might have been around for a while, but you're going, oh, it's amazing. And everybody you meet, you tell them it's amazing. So the power of that new fan actually is bigger than the old fan because they amplify the noise.
Yeah. But when you become a new fan, you forget about your old restaurant where you're going to, because you at some point you have to choose,
right? Yeah.
So that's a danger. It's something big insurance group do. So community. So there's the local community. There is in Munich there's a big insurance group. They have a stadium. They sponsor the stadium of the biggest German club, right? And that's the magnitude of the name recognition. Of course, is the number one insurance brand in the world, but it's also community. it's close to the people of the town, of the region. They're proud of that club. It's like sold out every game, and even more than that. So it's part of the community. And if you're part of that, if you create that ability at a scale which is extremely broad, so not only in one region or a country, but multi-country, created a community maybe per segment. Our movie fans would just go into that segment. So you also have the Star Wars fans that they all they have tattoos and but it belongs. So you belong to a community, and the health part. There's all those. There's a South African that's not anymore South African. I think it's Vitality. They've established basically a totally different model, working on prevention. So it's not only about being covered in insurance, but it's being part of the community of those people who go to that gym under that program, and they have the coverage. They have the same coverage, but it's much bigger than just the insurance element. And there's a sense of belonging. There's gamification. There's plenty of things that are part of that. I guess it joins a bit this Japanese.
It does. But I find that fascinating, right? That insurance and healthcare can gamify things, and my healthcare provider is exactly that. If I do X many workouts, then my premium is reduced, and I also get benefits for healthy shopping. I mean, the amount of data points that my insurer has on me is probably more than most. And it's exciting. The movie industry and entertainment, it's kind of different, because when you look at the brands that are out there, so if you look at Netflix, it's kind of a cultural brand. If you look at, we're both parents. And when our children were younger, you would probably say, oh, there's a Disney movie. Or they would say, and Disney comes with somewhat of a brand guarantee of wholesome family entertainment. It's about the only studio that has it, because you don't really go, oh, there's a great Universal movie, or there's a great Warner Brothers movie, or there's a great this.
Yeah, I've confused them all the time.
Yeah, they are. But Disney is the only one that's managed to do that.
Because we were kids.
We were kids.
It's been there such a long time.
It's formed very early. They have the theme parks, of course. Universal has its theme parks too, but it's a full manifestation of it. I mean, Disney has its stores, or had its stores. They've obviously been moved back into more a digital bias than bricks and mortar. But it's one of those brands that is known and to a degree trusted, albeit some of the content that they produce now, you would kind of argue that it's not really on brand. But that's the pressure of needing to have enough content for audience types that you have to persevere with. So they've had to adapt as they go, and they've sort of in a way segmented communication so they can still protect the brand that is known and trusted, but also tell enough stories that your Disney life cycle, when you get to 18, you stop becoming a Disney fan. Actually, they can work out a way of engaging with you continually.
Yeah, we're back on it.
Yeah.
So there's things for the whole family. I mean, so usually it's family, but there's still things PG-16 or things like that.
Oh, absolutely, no? Absolutely. As, they will always work out. I mean, when I was a kid, if you were 13 and you wanted to go and see the better movies, which were normally aged 15, you had to try and remember the birth date that you had agreed with your friends outside. You weren't really asked for ID often. And then there would be a lady in the ticket office, typically a lady in the ticket office that felt like she could have been somebody that works at your school. And you would and they would just look at you and give you the stare of, that makes you 45 because you've forgotten the birth date that you would agreed outside. But there are lots of things in age.
Don't do that in insurance, though.
You don't know. I think that would invalidate probably the policy, right?
Yeah.
But it still happens. I mean, kids are still buying. It's got a bit more sophisticated, but cinemas are so understaffed that it's the things that I did as a 15-year-old. Of course, as a 13-year-old, still happen. You can't get into the higher rated movies, so you go buy a ticket for the lower rated film and know that it's roughly the same time, and you watch 20 minutes and slide into the other cinema.